She married a man in a coma to pay for her mother's surgery. It was supposed to be simple, one kiss, one signature, one lie, but when her lips met his eyes opened wide, staring straight into hers. He'd been pretending to sleep for months. And the reason why would unravel a billion-dollar empire built on murder and lies. Before we start, comment below. What time is it where you are? And have you ever discovered a secret that changed everything? Let's dive in. Maya Carter stood in the hospital chapel, wearing a borrowed white dress that smelled like mothballs and old soap. Her hands shook as she held a bunch of plastic flowers. In exactly 10 minutes, she would marry a man who couldn't say yes, a man who couldn't say anything at all. Her heart hammered against her ribs like a trapped bird. "This is insane," she whispered to the empty room. But her mother's face floated in her mind, pale, thin, connected to machines that beeped and hummed. Without this wedding, those machines would stop. Her mother would die. Maya wore a faded blue hospital uniform under the dress because she'd come straight from her shift. She'd been cleaning bedpans and mopping floors when Richard Blackwell found her in the hallway 3 days ago. Richard Blackwell, the richest, most powerful man in the city. He wore expensive gray suits that probably cost more than Maya's entire year of rent. His shoes shined like black mirrors. His silver hair was combed perfectly, but his eyes were cold, like 2 pieces of ice that never melted. "Miss Carter," he'd said, blocking her path with his tall body, "I have a business proposal." Maya had tried to step around him. "I'm sorry, sir. I need to finish my work." "Your mother is dying." He said it like he was commenting on the weather. Casual, matter of fact. Maya's blood turned cold. "How do you know about my mother?" Richard smiled, but it wasn't a kind smile. It was the smile of a shark before it bites. "I know everything about everyone in this hospital. Your mother needs a surgery that costs $500,000. You make $12 an hour. Even if you worked every single day for the next 10 years without eating or sleeping, you couldn't afford it." Tears burned Maya's eyes, but she blinked them back. "What do you want?" "My son, Daniel, is in a coma on the 7th floor. He was in a terrible car accident 6 months ago. The doctors say he might never wake up." Richard pulled out a folded paper from his suit pocket. "I need him to get married. For business reasons. Legal reasons. If he's married, the company stays in the family. If he's not married by next week, I lose everything." Maya stared at him. "You want me to marry someone who's asleep? That's not real marriage. It's completely legal. I've already arranged it with the hospital chaplain. You sign the papers, you stand next to his bed, you say, 'I do,' and boom, your mother gets her surgery. Tonight, the best doctors. Everything paid for." Richard's ice eyes gleamed. "All you have to do is pretend to be a loving wife for a few months. Appear at some events. Smile for cameras. When the legal matters are settled, we'll arrange a quiet divorce. You walk away with enough money to take care of your mother for the rest of her life." Maya's stomach twisted. Everything about this felt wrong. Rotten. Like biting into an apple and finding worms inside. But her mother's face, her mother's laugh, her mother's hands braiding Maya's hair when she was little. "I'll do it," Maya whispered. "Now." 3 days later, she stood in the chapel waiting for the moment that would trap her forever. The doors opened. A woman in a sharp red business suit clicked in on high heels. Victoria Stone, Richard's assistant. She had blonde hair pulled so tight it stretched her face. She looked at Maya like Maya was a stain on expensive carpet. "Time to go," Victoria said. Her voice was all business, no warmth. "Remember, you look devoted. You look like you've loved Daniel for years. The photographer will be there. These photos need to look real." "Photographer?" Maya's voice cracked. "You didn't say anything about." "Smile. Look tender. Don't mess this up." Victoria grabbed Maya's arm and pulled her toward the elevator. They rode up to the 7th floor in silence. Maya could hear her own heartbeat in her ears. Thump, 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 like a countdown to disaster. The private room was huge, more like a hotel suite than a hospital room. Soft music played from hidden speakers. Flowers covered every surface, though they couldn't hide the smell of antiseptic and sickness. And there, in a massive bed, lay Daniel Blackwell. Maya's breath caught. He was young, maybe 25, only a few years older than Maya. His dark hair fell across his forehead. His face was peaceful, almost beautiful, like a prince from a fairy tale. He wore a white hospital gown. Tubes connected him to machines. His chest rose and fell, but his eyes stayed closed. He looked so helpless, so trapped, just like her. Beautiful, isn't he? Richard appeared from the corner of the room, making Maya jump. Before the accident, he was supposed to take over my company. Smart, ambitious. Now look at him. Useless. The way Richard said useless made Maya's skin crawl, like Daniel was a broken tool instead of a person. The chaplain hurried in, a nervous little man with sweaty palms. Victoria positioned the photographer. Richard stood by the window, arms crossed, watching everything like a director watching a play. The ceremony was horrible and quick. "Do you, Maya Carter, take this man?" Maya's voice shook. "I do." "You may kiss the groom." Maya's legs felt like water. She leaned over Daniel's still body. His skin was warm. His lips were soft. She pressed her mouth to his for just 1 second, the lightest, most gentle kiss. And then Daniel's eyes opened. Not a flutter, not a slow awakening. His eyes snapped open, bright and aware, and staring right into Maya's shocked face. Maya stumbled backward, gasping. "He's awake," the chaplain squeaked. But Richard moved faster than Maya thought possible. He was next to the bed in 2 long strides. "Everyone out. Now. Medical emergency." Victoria pushed Maya toward the door. The photographer kept snapping pictures. The chaplain babbled prayers. Maya looked back over her shoulder. Daniel's eyes were closing again. But just before they shut, just for one tiny moment, his gaze locked with Maya's, and she saw something there that made her blood freeze. He'd been awake before the kiss. He'd been awake the whole time. He'd been pretending. The door slammed shut behind her. Victoria gripped Maya's shoulder, so hard it hurt. "You saw nothing," Victoria hissed. "You tell no one. You go back to work. You keep your mouth shut. Do you understand?" Maya nodded, but her mind was racing. Racing. Why would Daniel pretend to be asleep? Why would his own father want everyone to think he was in a coma? What kind of family was this? What had she just married into? That night, Maya sat by her mother's bedside while surgeons operated. Her mother would live. The deal was done. The trap was closed. But Maya couldn't stop thinking about Daniel's eyes, about the awareness there, about the secret she'd stumbled into. She touched her lips where she'd kissed him. That kiss had been supposed to save her mother. But Maya had a horrible feeling it had just pulled her into something far more dangerous than she could ever imagine. Outside the window, storm clouds gathered over the city. Thunder rumbled in the distance. The truth was coming, and when it arrived, nothing would ever be the same again. For 3 weeks, Maya lived 2 lives. In her first life, she worked at the hospital during the day, cleaning rooms, emptying trash, pushing medicine carts down long hallways. She wore her faded blue uniform and tried to be invisible. In her second life, she was Mrs. Daniel Blackwell. Every evening, Victoria would appear with shopping bags full of expensive clothes and drag Maya to fancy restaurants or charity events. Maya would smile for cameras, wear dresses that cost more than her car, and pretend to be a devoted wife waiting for her husband to wake up. "Look sad but hopeful," Victoria would whisper through her tight smile. The media loves a tragic romance. Maya hated every second of it. But the worst part? Daniel's room. Richard insisted Maya visit Daniel every day after her shift. "Wives visit their husbands," he'd said coldly. "It needs to look real." So every afternoon at 4 o'clock, Maya would push open the door to Daniel's private room. And every time, she'd find him lying in that bed, eyes closed, breathing steady, looking completely asleep. But Maya knew better. She'd seen his eyes open during the wedding. She'd seen the awareness there. And now, every time she entered his room, she watched carefully. Sometimes his finger would twitch when she spoke. Sometimes his breathing would change when she got close. Once, she was certain she saw his eyelid flutter when she said her mother was doing better. Daniel was awake. She was sure of it, but why was he pretending? And why was Richard so desperate to hide it? Maya decided to become a detective. On the 4th week of her strange marriage, Maya arrived at Daniel's room earlier than usual. 3 o'clock instead of 4. She wanted to catch someone off guard. Maybe a nurse would say something. Maybe she'd find a clue. The room was empty, except for Daniel in his bed. Maya walked quietly to his bedside. His dark hair was clean and combed. Someone had shaved his face that morning. He looked peaceful, innocent. "I know you're awake," Maya whispered. Nothing. No response. Just a steady beep, beep, beep of the heart monitor. Maya leaned closer. "I don't know what game you're playing. I don't know why you're doing this. But I saw your eyes open on our wedding day. I saw you looking at me." Still nothing. Anger flared in Maya's chest. "Fine. Stay quiet. But I'm going to figure this out. I'm not stupid." She turned to leave and heard it, so soft she almost missed it. A whisper. "Wait." Maya spun around. Daniel's eyes were open. Bright green eyes, sharp and intelligent, staring right at her. He lifted one finger to his lips. "Sure." Then he pointed at the corner of the room. Maya followed his gaze and felt her stomach drop. There, barely visible in the ceiling corner, was a tiny camera. A red light blinked steadily. Someone was watching. Always watching. "Oh my God," Maya breathed. Daniel's eyes closed again, quick as a blink, but his hand moved slightly, gesturing toward the bathroom. Maya understood. She walked to the bathroom, pushed open the door, and waited. 2 minutes later, Daniel appeared. He walked slowly, carefully, like someone who'd been lying down for months. But he was moving, walking, awake. "You can walk." Maya whispered urgently. "How long have you been able to walk?" Daniel leaned against the sink. Up close, Maya could see how thin he'd become, how tired his eyes looked. 2 months, he whispered back. His voice was rough from not being used. "I woke up 4 months ago." Maya's mind reeled. "But why? Why would you pretend to be asleep?" "Because the accident was an accident." Daniel's green eyes burned with something dark. Anger. Fear. Someone tried to kill me. And I think it was my father. The bathroom suddenly felt too small. Too hot. Maya couldn't breathe properly. "That's insane. Why would your father?" "I found out something I wasn't supposed to know." Daniel's hands gripped the sink edge. "About the company. About illegal deals. About people getting hurt. Because my father cared more about money than lives. I told him I was going to report everything to the police. 2 days later, my car crashed." Maya's heart pounded. "You think he sabotaged your car?" "I know he did, but I can't prove it. Not yet." Daniel touched his chest, right over his heart. "And there's something else. Something wrong with my body. After I woke up, I noticed a scar here. A new scar. The doctors never mentioned surgery on my chest. Just my broken bones. Just my head injury. A scar." Maya stepped closer. "Can I see?" Daniel lifted his white hospital gown. There it was. A thin, neat line cutting across his chest, right over his heart. It was healed but recent, maybe a few months old. Maya's nursing training kicked in. She'd seen enough scars to know what they meant. That's a surgical scar. A precise one. Someone operated on you. "But why?" Daniel's voice cracked. "Why would they operate on my heart when my heart wasn't injured in the crash? What did they do to me?" Before Maya could answer, they heard voices outside the room. Victoria's sharp tone. Richard's deep rumble. "Get back in bed." Maya hissed. Daniel moved fast. He was back under the covers in seconds, eyes closed, body still. Maya flushed the toilet and washed her hands, trying to look normal. When she stepped out of the bathroom, Victoria was standing in the doorway, arms crossed, red suit perfect as always. "You're here early," Victoria said. It wasn't a question. It was an accusation. "I finished my shift early," Maya lied smoothly. "Thought I'd spend more time with my husband." Victoria's cold blue eyes scanned the room, looking, searching. How devoted. Richard will be pleased. After Victoria left, Maya sat in the chair next to Daniel's bed, her mind spinning like a tornado. Someone had tried to kill Daniel. Someone had operated on his heart without telling him. Someone was watching everything through hidden cameras, and Maya was trapped right in the middle of it. That night, Maya couldn't sleep. She lay in the small apartment Richard had rented for her. Another part of the act. The devoted wife needed to live close to the hospital, staring at the ceiling. She kept thinking about that scar, about chest surgery that made no sense. At 2 a.m, an idea struck her like lightning. Maya got dressed, snuck back to the hospital, and went straight to the records room in the basement. She cleaned that room 100 times. She knew where they kept the patient files. Daniel Blackwell's file was thick. Maya's hand shook as she flipped through pages and pages of medical reports. And then she found it. A surgery report dated 3 days after Daniel's accident. Chest surgery. But the words made no sense. Medical terms she didn't understand. Something about device implantation and remote monitoring capability. Maya took a photo with her phone and kept digging. At the bottom of the file, she found something else. A contract, signed by Richard Blackwell. The words made her blood turn to ice. In the event of patient's continued incapacitation, all medical decisions to be made by legal guardian. Experimental treatments authorized. Cost $2 million paid in full. Experimental treatments. Device implantation. They put something inside Daniel's chest. Something that let them monitor him. Control him? Maya's hands trembled so badly she almost dropped the file. This wasn't just about a fake marriage. This wasn't just about business deals. Richard Blackwell had turned his own son into some kind of experiment, some kind of prisoner. Maya heard footsteps in the hallway, security doing rounds. She shoved the file back, turned off the lights, and hid behind a shelf. The security guard's flashlight swept across the room, then moved on. Maya waited 10 minutes before sneaking out. She walked through the dark hospital halls, her mind racing faster than her feet. She had evidence now, proof, but who could she tell? Richard owned half this hospital. Victoria controlled all the media. If Maya went to the police, would they even believe her? Maya pushed open the door to the stairwell and ran straight into someone. Strong hands grabbed her arms. Maya opened her mouth to scream. "It's me!" Daniel's voice, urgent and low. Maya's heart nearly exploded. "What are you doing out of your room?" "The cameras. I disabled them 30 minutes before they reset." Daniel's face was pale but determined. "I saw you on the basement camera feed. I hacked into the security system weeks ago." "Maya, what did you find?" Maya pulled out her phone and showed him the photo of the surgery report. Daniel's face went white, then red, then white again. "They put something in my chest. Something to track me, to control me." "We need to tell someone," Maya said urgently. "The police, the media, someone who—" "No." Daniel's voice was hard. "Not yet. We need more proof. We need evidence that Richard ordered the car crash. Evidence of all his crimes. If we move too soon, he'll cover everything up and we'll both disappear." "Disappear?" Maya's voice squeaked. Daniel's green eyes were fierce. "My father doesn't lose. Ever. He'll do anything to protect his empire. Anything." They stood in the dark stairwell, 2 prisoners plotting escape. "Then what do we do?" Maya asked. Daniel smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. It was the smile of someone ready for war. "We beat him at his own game. We gather evidence. We stay quiet. We wait for the perfect moment. And then we burn his empire to the ground." Maya should have been scared, should have run away, should have grabbed her mother and disappeared to another city. But instead, she felt something else rising in her chest. Something hot and bright and dangerous. Anger. Richard Blackwell had used her, trapped her, turned her into a puppet. He'd tried to kill his own son. He'd turned Daniel into an experiment. How many other people had he hurt? How many other lives had he destroyed for money and power? "I'm in," Maya said. "Whatever it takes. I'll help you." Daniel's hand found hers in the darkness. His grip was weak but steady. "Thank you." For the first time since the wedding, Maya didn't feel alone. They were two prisoners now, but they were prisoners with a plan. And somewhere in the darkness, the truth was waiting to explode. The next 2 weeks were the most dangerous of Maya's life. By day, she played the perfect wife. She smiled for cameras. She held press conferences with Victoria standing beside her like a guard dog. She told reporters how much she loved Daniel, how she prayed for him every night, how she believed in miracles. By night, she became a spy. Daniel taught her how to hack into Richard's computer files. Maya learned to pick locks. Together, they downloaded secret company documents, recorded phone calls, and built a mountain of evidence. They discovered terrible things. Richard's company had known their construction materials were dangerous. Buildings had collapsed. 23 people had died. But Richard had paid off inspectors, buried reports, and kept building. Kept making money while people died. Daniel had found out. Daniel had threatened to go to the police. So Richard had cut the brake lines on Daniel's car. They found the mechanic Richard had paid. They found the bank records. They found everything. But the chest surgery remained a mystery until Maya made one more midnight trip to the records room. This time, she found a letter from a doctor, a specialist in experimental medicine. The letter explained everything. Per your request, we have implanted a cardiac monitoring device with remote capabilities. Should your son attempt to expose sensitive information, the device can be activated to simulate heart failure. This will appear entirely natural, a tragic complication from the accident. No one will suspect. Your secret remains safe. Maya's hand shook so badly she could barely read the words. Richard had put a bomb inside his own son's chest. A kill switch. If Daniel ever tried to tell the truth, Richard could press a button and Daniel's heart would stop. Maya took 17 photos of the letter. Then she ran to find Daniel. He was in the hospital gym, one of the few places without cameras. He'd been building his strength back, preparing for the day they'd go public. When Maya showed him the letter, Daniel's face went through a dozen emotions in 5 seconds. Shock, horror, rage, and finally, something that looked almost like relief. "At least now we know," he said quietly. "At least a mystery is solved. Daniel, he can kill you." Maya's voice cracked. "Whenever he wants, with the push of a button. We can't fight him if he can." "Yes, we can." Daniel's green eyes blazed. "Because we're smarter than him. We're going to remove his power before he even knows we're coming." They made a plan. A dangerous, crazy, brilliant plan. First, Daniel snuck out of the hospital one night and went to a different hospital across the city. A surgeon Maya knew, one of the good ones, agreed to remove the device from Daniel's chest. It was a risky surgery. Daniel could die on the table, but staying alive with a kill switch in his chest, that wasn't living. The surgery took 4 hours. Maya waited in the parking lot, praying to every god she could think of. When Daniel walked out, pale but smiling, holding a small electronic device in a plastic bag, Maya burst into tears. "It's out," Daniel said. "I'm free." But they weren't free yet. Not really. The next day, Maya went to see a reporter. Not one of Richard's paid reporters. A real journalist. A woman named Sarah Chun who'd been investigating the Blackwell Company for years. Maya gave Sarah everything. Every document. Every recording. Every photo. Sarah's eyes got wider and wider as she looked through the evidence. This is massive," Sarah breathed. "This will destroy him. When do you want it to publish?" "Tomorrow," Maya said, "at exactly noon. And we need you to do one more thing." Maya told Sarah the plan. Sarah grinned. "Oh, Richard Blackwell is going to regret the day he decided to play God." The next morning, Richard called an emergency press conference. Victoria had arranged it. A big announcement about the Blackwell Foundation's new charity hospital. Maya was supposed to stand next to Richard and look sweet and grateful. Richard wore his most expensive gray suit. Victoria wore blood red. Maya wore simple black. Funeral colors. Reporters packed the conference room. Cameras everywhere. Lights blazing. Richard began his speech. Today marks a new chapter for Blackwell Industries. We believe in giving back. We believe in compassion. We believe in murder. Every head turned. Daniel walked into the room, not in a wheelchair, not carried, walking on his own 2 feet, wearing simple black clothes, looking thin but strong and very much awake. The room exploded. Reporters screaming questions. Cameras flashing. Victoria's face went white as paper. Richard's face turned purple. Daniel, son, you're awake. This is a miracle. We need to get you back to the hospital immediately. No. Daniel's voice cut through the chaos like a knife. No more hospitals. No more lies. No more pretending. He walked to front of the room and stood face to face with his father. You tried to kill me, Daniel said quietly. Every microphone in the room caught his words. You cut my brake lines because I found out about the 23 people who died in your buildings. Because I was going to tell the truth. That's absurd. Richard sputtered. You're confused. The accident damaged your brain. Then explain this. Daniel held up the device they removed from his chest. Explain why you put a kill switch inside my body. Explain the letter from Dr. Morrison describing how you could stop my heart remotely whenever you wanted. Silence. Complete, total silence. Richard's mouth opened and closed like a fish drowning in air. I have copies, Daniel continued, of everything. Every bribed inspector. Every buried report. Every lie you told while people died. And in exactly 30 seconds, the truth goes public. On cue, every reporter's phone buzzed. Sarah Chen's article dropping like a bomb. Headlines screaming across the internet. Billionaire's son exposes empire of Death Blackwell Industries. Built on bodies and lies cardiac kill switch. How far will power go? Richard lunged for Daniel. You ungrateful. But police officers were already pushing through the crowd. Victoria tried to run but got caught at the door. Richard Blackwell, you're under arrest for attempted murder, corporate fraud, manslaughter, and conspiracy. The lead detective's voice was calm. Professional. You have the right to remain silent. Richard's ice-cold eyes found Maya in the crowd. For one moment, pure hatred blazed there. You, he hissed, you stupid little cleaning girl. You destroyed everything. Maya walked up to him, looked him right in his furious face. No, she said softly. You destroyed everything. I just made sure everyone could see it. As police led Richard away in handcuffs, as Victoria screamed about lawyers, as cameras captured every moment, Daniel found Maya's hand and squeezed it. They'd done it. The truth was out. The empire was falling. 3 months later, Maya stood in her mother's new apartment, a small, sunny place near the park. Her mother hummed in the kitchen, making lunch healthy and happy and alive. Maya, her mother called. Your husband is here. Daniel appeared in the doorway, carrying grocery bags. He'd gained weight. His face had color again. He looked like a completely different person from the pale boy in the hospital bed. Hi, he said, smiling. Hi, Maya smiled back. They weren't married anymore. Not legally. They'd quietly divorced a month ago, ended a contract that had started everything. But Daniel kept coming around, and Maya kept letting him in. How was the meeting? Maya asked as Daniel unpacked groceries. Good. The new management team is actually competent. Imagine that. Daniel had taken over Blackwell Industries and completely rebuilt it. New leadership, new ethics, new purpose. The company was now devoted to fixing all the damage Richard had done, rebuilding the collapsed buildings, compensating victims' families, creating real safety standards. It would take years, maybe decades, but Daniel was committed. And you? Daniel asked, how was your day? Maya had quit cleaning hospital floors. Now she worked as a patient advocate, helping families understand their medical rights, making sure no one else got trapped like she had. Busy. Good busy. Maya handed Daniel a plate. I helped the family today. Their son was in an accident, and the hospital wanted to do experimental treatment without explaining the risks. I made sure they understood everything before signing anything. "You're a hero," Daniel said quietly. "So are you." They ate lunch with Maya's mother, laughing at her jokes, enjoying the sunshine through the windows. Later, as Daniel was leaving, he paused at the door. "Maya, yeah, I know we're not married anymore. I know we can't get back those months of lies and pretending." Daniel's green eyes were serious. "But I was wondering, maybe we could try something real? Start over? Actually date like normal people?" Maya's heart did a little flip. "Like dinner and movies and holding hands in park?" "Exactly like that." Daniel smiled. "No contracts. No cameras. No kill switches or corporate empires. Just us, two people getting to know each other." Maya thought about everything they'd been through. The fear, the danger, the lies. And then she thought about how Daniel had trusted her, how they'd fought together, how they'd torn down an empire built on death, and rebuilt something honest in its place. "Okay," she said, "let's try real." Daniel's smile could have lit up the whole city. As he walked away, Maya stood in the doorway, watching him go. Their story had started with a forced kiss in a hospital room, a kiss built on desperation and lies. But maybe it could continue with something true, something chosen, something real. The newspapers called them heroes. The internet called them brave. Richard's lawyers called them many other things from inside his prison cell. But Maya didn't care about any of that. She'd learned something important through all of this. Truth is stronger than money. Courage is stronger than fear. And love, real love, can only grow in soil made of honesty. Richard's empire had fallen. The truth had won. And in the wreckage of lies, something new was growing. Something small and fragile, but genuine. Hope.